So Assassin's Creed has never looked better. Odyssey's Greece is postcard perfect, Valhalla's England is moody, harsh, and weirdly authentic, and Shadows, from a purely visual standpoint, it might be Ubisoft's most impressive open world yet. But here's the strange part: despite all that beauty, all that scale, all that technical achievement, these worlds feel empty. Not empty as in there's nothing here, they're full of icons, quests, collectibles, enemy camps, side activities, all that stuff. So on paper, they're overflowing with stuff, but empty in a different way. Emotionally empty, mechanically empty, like you're always on your way to the game instead of actually in it, kind of empty. You spend so much time riding, following roads, fast traveling, and then mounting up again. And eventually, you realize something uncomfortable. You're barely using the things Assassin's Creed is supposed to be good at. Not parkour, not social stealth, not vertical movement, not improvisation, just traversal. And that's kind of the real issue with modern Assassin's Creed. It's not the RPG systems, not the skill trees, not even the combat. It's the space between everything and what that space does to the experience. And that is exactly what we're going to be discussing in this video, which I'm proud to say is sponsored by Logitech. So the guys over at Logitech GUK were able to send me over a pair of their G321 headset, and honestly, they're pretty cool. Coming in pretty lightweight at 210 grams with a 16 kHz flip to mute microphone. This is essentially the only headset you will ever need, because it comes with Lightspeed wireless and Bluetooth connectivity with up to 20 hours of battery life, meaning you can use them on your Xbox, your PlayStations, your PCs, Switch, and even your mobile phone, so you can use them on the go or while just listening to music. Personally, I've used these a couple days and I highly recommend them. There's two colors to choose from, either black with some purple accents or white with some blue teal accents, and both pairs look stunning. So once again, a huge thanks to the guys over at Logitech GUK for sponsoring this video. Head over to the website in the link in the description, check out the headphones, buy a pair for yourself, and enjoy the crisp sound. Without further ado, let's jump straight back into the video. Odyssey, Valhalla, and Shadows all follow the same philosophy. Go bigger, go wider, cover entire countries. And to be clear, that ambition is impressive. Ubisoft deserve credit for pulling it off technically, but design isn't about what you can build, it's about what you should build. When a world gets this large, something has to give, and what gives first is density. Cities shrink, towns become hubs instead of spaces, and the majority of the map exists for only one purpose: being crossed to go from mission to mission. Think about how much time you actually spend playing Assassin's Creed in these games. Not the fighting, not the sneaking, not the climbing, just traveling. Long rides between objectives, huge stretches of countryside with nothing mechanically interesting happening, reused activities dotted across a massive landscape, and that space doesn't ask anything of you. There's no verticality, no crowd systems, no meaningful choice in how you move. It's visually impressive but mechanically passive, and over time that passivity drains the experience. But let's rewind quickly, because Assassin's Creed didn't start this way. AC1, the Ezio trilogy, Unity, these games were obsessed with cities, not countries. Jerusalem, Florence, Venice, Rome, Paris, they weren't just places you visited, they were systems you learned. Every street connected vertically, every rooftop mattered, every alley gave you different options. Movement wasn't filler in these games, it was gameplay. You didn't hop on a horse to reach content, you climbed, flowed, improvised. Unity is the clearest example of this philosophy. Paris isn't just dense, it's layered. Parkour isn't optional, it's the fastest and smartest way to move. The city also rewards mastery, understanding building layouts, chaining routes together, reacting dynamically to obstacles, and because everything is close together, pacing stays tight. You finish one mission and naturally flow into another. You stumble across opportunities without needing markers. The city is constantly feeding you gameplay. That's why those worlds feel alive, not because they were louder, but because they were designed around movement. Also, a huge thanks to Memento Gallery for giving me this parkour gameplay. He is insanely good at Unity parkour, and I'm just a little bit arsed, so go and drop him a follow down below. So this is where modern Assassin's Creed quietly loses momentum. Not atmosphere, it has tons of that, but the momentum. There's a huge difference between silence and emptiness. In older games, quiet moments existed inside dense spaces. In modern games, Quiet moments exist because you're crossing empty land, and that changes everything. When half of your play session is riding to objectives, clearing similar camps, riding back to report in, the stories lose their urgency. A mission might say this is urgent, but the game makes you ride for 6 minutes before it even starts. That disconnect kills tension. Fast travel does help, but it also highlights the problem. If skipping the world feels better than engaging with it, that's a design failure. Assassin's Creed should thrive on flow, constant decision making, on traversal being expressive, not expressive in a way that lets you ride a giant fire tiger or Rudolph through an open world. Although I will admit, Ubisoft having Rudolph in the game is actually pretty cool, so I guess I'm a bit contradictory there. But then something a little weird happened. Mirage came along and quietly proved the point that everyone had been making. Because Baghdad isn't massive, but it's dense. It's built for rooftops, built for parkour, built for layered stealth routes. You're almost never traveling without purpose. Movement feels intentional again, traversal feels expressive again. Side content naturally chains together, and exploration feels organic, not checklist driven. Mirage reminded people of something important. Assassin's Creed doesn't need scale to feel alive, it needs structure, which makes Shadows such a strange contradiction. Because Shadows has one of the best parkour systems Ubisoft has made in years, and it barely gives you any spaces to use it. Most of your time is spent outside towns, outside villages, outside environments built for movement. The mechanics are there, they're great, and the world just doesn't support them. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Big worlds are easier to sell. They look impressive in trailers, they promise longevity, and they sound good in marketing. But Assassin's Creed isn't really a sandbox franchise at heart. It should be a movement-driven stealth series. When you stretch the world too wide, you dilute what makes this series special. You turn parkour into a niche tool, stealth into an optional suggestion, and cities into pit stops. And the game starts to feel like a road trip instead of a hunt. And then a lot of you will be asking, okay, well, you're complaining about all this stuff, how would you fix it? And honestly, the fix isn't that complicated. Option 1 would be to go back to a single massive city like they did in Mirage, but even more refined. There's one space that's deeply layered and built entirely around parkour, stealth, and verticality. Option 2 would be returning to the AC1, AC2 structure. Multiple cities, each dense, each handcrafted. And instead of forcing players to ride through empty lands, you either transition via cutscenes, travel intentionally, and then you can arrive somewhere meaningful. No filler, no repeated camps, no artificial scale. And option 3 could be doing what Shadows has done, but giving us actual locations built around parkour. Make the bigger maps a bit smaller, still with that open world environment and areas, but make the cities and the towns and villages more vertical and built for parkour. Have more missions set within these worlds. You can even have sections. Okay, so sequence 1 is set in this location and only this location. The player then won't have to travel on horseback constantly between locations just to complete the same objective. And to me, that's something I feel could work in an Assassin's Creed game. Now, the main point I want to put across is that modern Assassin's Creed worlds aren't bad. They're beautiful, they're impressive, they're technically incredible, but they're designed for scale, not for Assassin's Creed gameplay. The older games understood something simple. If movement is fun, the world doesn't need to be huge. Unity lived by it, the Ezio games perfected it, and then Mirage remembered it. So maybe the future of Assassin's Creed isn't about going bigger again, maybe it's about going denser. So let me know what you think about this in a comment section down below. Do you prefer this one massive open world, or would you prefer a tighter, handcrafted city, or would you prefer the third option of a smaller, bigger map just with multiple cities set in stone for the objectives? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe for some more Assassin's Creed content. Also, huge thanks once again to Logitech for sponsoring this video. If you haven't already, go check out the G321s down below and you will not be disappointed. Guys and gals, I hope you all have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next video.